Yeah, greetings all this Memorial Day weekend. Probably just gonna see if I can make some more money at these runs. Had to unplug my HOTAS and plug it back in. It wouldn't go left and right. Not taking that one. Everybody here wants to go really far away. Guess I see if this helps. Such a mediocre value. Not worth it for less than 2 million. No. Why can't there be people wanting passenger missions to a place? Like, oh, bring me to back to the bubble, or bring me to the Pleiades. Drop you off. Let me put my offers out there. I've got this many seats. I'm going here. Anybody want to go? I'm going to charge this much. Oh, that is 17 jumps away. Huh.
Week in Review. Here are this week's major stories. Terrorist group, the League of Reparation has committed 3 further murders in Federation space. The victims include 2 members of the Pilots Federation. In both cases, the commanders' ships were laser-branded with the words, "For Jameson." Commodore Riri McAllister of the Alliance Defense Force has been appointed to the Council of Admirals, filling the vacancy left by the late Tully McBuchanan, who was killed by the League of Reparation. McAllister has pledged to support efforts against the terrorist group responsible for her predecessor's death. Meanwhile, entertainment journalist Solomon Helios has been speculating about the romantic life of Princess Aisling Duval, who is understood to have spurned the advances of Admiral Denton Patrias. 3 potential suitors have been identified. Senator Caspian Leopold, anti-slavery campaigner Yal Torrido, and Federal Ambassador Jordan Rochester. In other news, Los Chupacabras, an independent faction based in the LFT-926 system, has announced plans for a musical event, known as the Jailhouse Rock and Blues Music Festival. In support of the event, Los Chupacabras have placed an open order for quantities of beer, tobacco, coffee and narcotics, and have promised to reward pilots who deliver these commodities to Meredith City, in the LFT-926 system. Authorities in the TNC system have reported a sharp increase in the number of criminals operating in the area. To counter this threat, the autocracy of TNC has placed a kill order on all ships on its wanted list, and has promised to reward pilots who deliver bounty vouchers to Janibek of Port. Finally, 2
there's a party
community-led
on.
initiatives reached successful conclusions this week. In the core systems, an operation to recover survivors and salvage from a convoy attacked by pirates was supported by scores of independent pilots, while in Colonia, hundreds of commanders delivered micro-resources to the Colonia Cooperative, which is investigating the region's potential to support larger populations in the future. And those are the main stories this week. French doomsayer cults on the rise. An increasing number of religious movements in the core systems are proclaiming that humanity is on the verge of destruction. Awareness of the issue has been raised by independent reporter Gethin Okonkwo, who published an article outlining the phenomenon. The return of the Thargoids has led to the emergence of dozens of radical groups. Although their nature varies, the message is the same: the apocalypse is coming. Some of these groups are distinctly religious in flavor. The Church of the Eternal Void, for example, preaches that the war for human souls is almost lost. Their view of the Thargoids as demons from a hellish universe, and the Guardians as beings of light, who have decreed us unworthy of salvation, runs along classic theological lines. Others, such as Generation Omega, stoically accept that our time is almost over. They state that superior spacefaring life forms will naturally destroy inferior ones, just as our own cultures have overrun each other since prehistory. Generation Omega plans to build mass euthanasia centers for planetary populations, declaring that the human era deserves to end in a dignified manner. Of course, there have always been doomsayers, and naturally our governments refuse to accept them as legitimate. But that hasn't stopped these organizations from attracting thousands of citizens and millions of credits, with their followers growing in number rapidly. During wartime, many people become desperate for the certainty that such belief systems provide. We are likely to see these radical elements increase their influence as long as the shadow of the Thargoids falls over us. Authorities in the core systems responded to Okonkwo's article by restating that the Thargoid threat is being controlled and that such fear-mongering is unwarranted. Covert organization discovered. The Imperial Internal Security Service has discovered that the murderer of Senator Nestor Cartesius was acting on behalf of a secret organization. Captain Niam Sutonia, leading the IISS investigation into Cartesius's death, made this statement. We had determined Senator Cartesius was killed by a nerve toxin, and that whoever administered it was trained in circumventing security. Our leads pointed to an ex-member of the Imperial Guard now operating as a freelance assassin. We tracked her to her hideout, where she resisted arrest. Unfortunately, in the subsequent exchange of gunfire, we had no choice but to eliminate the assassin. Examination of the killer's communication equipment confirmed that she was hired to kill Cartesius and deliver the Ford Jameson message. Her employers identified themselves as the League of Reparation. It seems that the motive was indeed revenge. The League's avowed goal is to secure justice for the victims of the INRAS crimes. We are now widening our investigation and establishing a task force. The IISS will uncover this organization and eradicate it before it can commit further atrocities. When asked if anyone connected to the INRA might be at risk, Captain Sutonia replied, "That is a distinct possibility. If the League of Reparation is targeting the descendants of those involved in the INRA's activities, there are potentially thousands who may be targeted, and not just in the Empire. To that end, I have already made contact with my counterparts in the Federation and the Alliance, and invited them to work with our task force." Aegis responds to concern over Thargoid incursions. There has been widespread disquiet over recent reports that Thargoid ships have been encountered in the core systems. The level of anxiety is exemplified by political spokesperson Councillor Rasmus Seng, who said, "For months now, communities in the core systems have been living in a state of fear, wondering which will be the next to be targeted. The Thargoids have been striking at starports in the region one by one, and nobody is able to stop them. Why are the powers doing so little? Where are our defenses, our fleets? Surely the core systems cannot be so vulnerable." Admiral Aidan Tanner, Chief Military Liaison for Aegis, directly addressed these concerns. Reports that the Thargoids are encroaching upon the core systems en masse are grossly overstated. Although they have crossed the threshold, all we have seen so far are localized incidents in fringe systems. This is not a full-scale invasion, and it does not warrant large fleet movements, of the kind that have been suggested. Rest assured, the enemy is contained. There is no need for panic. Courageous independent pilots, armed with Aegis technology, are doing a superb job at halting the Thargoids' progress. It's to be expected that we suffer occasional losses in this conflict, but these do not indicate an impending catastrophe.